Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the April Boston Tug. I'm going to start off with a couple of announcements. So there's a few big events coming up in May. There's Tableau Live Americas coming up on May 18th. That's a free virtual event, sort of a mini conference type of thing. And then on May 20th, there's Data Dev Day. So anybody who's interested in using Tableau developer platform to do integrations and customizing Tableau, that'll be a really cool event. And then also on May 20th, the Boston Tug has teamed up with the Atlanta Tug and 11 other tugs to have a Q&A with the Tableau Chief Product Officer, Francois. He'll be answering a bunch of user-submitted questions, so that'll be a really good event. And so I'll send out some of the links to these coming events after our meeting, so you can go check them out. And then you can always also keep up to date with any of the upcoming virtual events on the new Tableau Community Hub. And it also has a lot of other ways to get involved with the community. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And then our presenter today is from Tableau. This is Richard Durval. He's going to be presenting about the advanced analytics. He's got a great presentation for us, hoping to keep this really interactive. So keep your Q&A coming. Just make sure you put it in the Q&A box and not the chat, and we'll keep an eye on that and have a dialogue going, kind of so that you all can get what you really want to see out of this presentation, our time with Richard. He's a solutions engineer at Tableau, and he's a Tableau platform expert. We're really excited to have him here to present some of these cool features. I think it'll be really exciting. So that's all for the presentation or for the announcements today. So I'll hand it over to Richard and we'll just get going with it.
Perfect. So I want to do a quick mic check, make sure everyone can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen there. I like seeing the thumbs up because that means I can ask y'all some questions and hopefully we can have some reactions. So just wanted to start off with a quick introduction. So my name's Richard Durval, as mentioned by Jackie, and thanks for that introduction. I'm a senior manager of solution engineering for all of the United States and Canada across our small and medium businesses. That's my role today at Tableau. I started about 6 years ago, and I started as a product consultant, so a product expert around Tableau 8, actually. So I've seen the product change a lot. And during my tenure here at Tableau, I also had the opportunity to work with a lot of emerging markets. So I speak Portuguese and Spanish as well. And that has given me the opportunity to work with a lot of different customers from all across the Americas, multiple different segments, what works best for them. And as I advance through the ranks here at Tableau, as a leader, I now get to coach, train people, and still have a lot of time interacting with our customers, like today, like yesterday. So if y'all are some Tableau customers in the SMB space, you may be talking to me at some point along this year. So I'm here today to talk about a multitude of topics. I'm going to be focusing on advanced analytics. So as the platform has grown, I have seen advanced analytics in Tableau grow as well. It used to be just the analytics pane that we're all familiar with forecasting, trend lines, average lines, etc. As a product evolved, we added R and Python integration. How many folks in the room use R and Python integration today with Tableau? Just give me a thumbs up if you're using R and Python. Got one thumbs up. So maybe not a lot of folks. And that's understandable because it does take the skills of knowing Python and R to integrate that with Tableau and really leverage your existing skills. But Tableau is known for ease of use, right? That's part of the Tableau platform. And it's part of my slide here of why Tableau. It's the fast adoption at scale across all skill sets. Oh, I see somebody didn't know that you could use it in Tableau, so I'm going to make sure to show you how. So thanks for sharing that. And part of that fast adoption across all skill sets and powerful analytics and that flexibility is giving people options of having no code, drag and drop analytics, which evolved to us adding k-means clustering, in addition to different correlation features, also predictive modeling within Tableau, where you can just use it as a normal calculation. But as we further evolved and further became part of Salesforce, that's when we really started to introduce the power of Einstein Analytics, now known as Tableau CRM, and integrating that alongside our product, which really brings your data to life with specific predictions. How many folks are using Tableau CRM or Salesforce at all today? A lot of folks. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and start there then with our new integration with Einstein Analytics through the extension. So this is part of our initiative around business science, is what we're calling it. Give me one moment. I'm just opening up a document that I have here, right? And a big part of that is going to be Einstein Discovery in Tableau. So what is Einstein Discovery? Einstein Discovery is something that, frankly, I used to compete against a few years ago. And it leverages the power of Salesforce, the data within Salesforce, machine learning, and proprietary algorithms to really understand your data and bring you insights. In a way that it shows you the most relevant information first. So a lot of us, when we're creating predictive models or creating predictions or working machine learning, we end up coming up with insights like, if you made more sales, you would make more money, or if you have less discount, your profitability will go up. Those insights are those no-brainers. So it tries to avoid that type of insight and really brings you the most important life. And now through our extensions, this can be integrated directly into Tableau Desktop, Tableau Online, Tableau Server, and Tableau Online. And this is going to work in tandem with your Salesforce instance, and then all the rest of the data that you have connected to Tableau. So it's not like you have to put data into Salesforce first. You always can, right? But the intention here is to be able to leverage the predictive capabilities on data that may not be hosted within Salesforce. So like I was mentioning, it's automated discovery, no code. Ethical and transparent is a big part of that, since we at Salesforce, Tableau are the ones that are generating this code and the predictions. We make sure to remove some of those biases that exist in data and exist in predictions today, right? So it is adding that additional layer of just confidence, right, and trust in your data that you're not getting some biased answers. You can rapidly iterate, combine data from anywhere, which I think is huge, right? If you have worked with Tableau CRM, you'll know that there is a limited number of connectors that you can connect and bring that data to Salesforce. Tableau, on the other hand, has a large number of connectors. Earlier, this should be leveraging the data that's in your dashboard to create these predictions. It's live modeling, and you can actually continue to work the model to make it more intuitive and give you some predictions as well. So I want to show you this in action. I have this dashboard that has been created to create some predictions around if a commercial loan is going to default or not by customer segment. The way this works, it's going to leverage the data that you have being fed into Tableau. Tableau features like our filters, parameters, visualizations, right? And then we'll see over here in the corner, we have discovery, which is that drag and drop add-on extension that you can leverage within Tableau to create these visualizations. So I can now use my filters and parameters to see, a dashboard about total assets or total cash on hand. So I can change this to total cash on hand. I can use my additional filters to look at specific industries. But as I go and start drilling in to different measures and dimensions within my dashboard, specifically these filters, you'll notice that my Einstein predictions will now change based on the information that I'm feeding the model. So I've got total assets. I can have it between 17 million and 48, cash on hand. So I can see what is being filtered out in my histogram, and then that default risk changing as I change my different filters. So the way that this is working, if I log into my Salesforce instance, go to one of my demo orgs, I can get started. So this does require not data within CRM, but it does require licensing to get access to the Analytics Studio. So you do need Analytics Studio to be able to leverage the predictive modeling from Einstein Discovery within Tableau dashboards. So if I go to my Analytics Studio.
Could you then publish this on Tableau Public? Like, does Einstein work in Tableau Public, Richard?
So it's not going to work in Tableau Public yet, right?
Okay.
Because Tableau Public is sort of like, I like calling it the Facebook of Tableau, right? But it's going to work, as you can see, in Tableau Online. I'm actually using Tableau Online here, and then Tableau Server as well. So the way this works, I'm going to go to my model manager, right? Which has the model I've already created. And this is where my model lives. So it's going to tell me how many active. I should only have one, and it's delivered on time. So I'm maximizing predictions around if something is going to be delivered on time or not based on this data set that I'm feeding into Salesforce. So this one I'm actually going to leverage data that I'm bringing into Salesforce through a CSV. So once I bring the CSV in, just give me one moment. It's going to drag and drop it. It's going to give me the ability just to upload it. So it's giving me that high level view of my data. I can make some changes here if needed, but this is already pretty clean. This is a pretty small data set, so it should only take a moment. And after I feed this data into Salesforce to build my model, so what I'm doing is building my model based on the CSV with some information that I have about logistics, right? So this is looking at that shipping information. As we wait, I'm going to go ahead and open the CSV so we can all take a look at it. This is why I also already did my model in case we need to skip any steps here. In this data set, I have information about different countries, so my destinations, cities, if that has to go through customs or not, and then weather, right? And then transport supplier, and then delivered on time, late. And I've got, let's see how many rows I have here. It's not that big of a data set. So this is what I'm using to train my model, right? I'm using the data about shipments, where it was going to, if there's customs or not, if it was raining or not, who that transporter was, and then the information if it was on time or late. After I create this model, I'm just going to go ahead and close it once I create this data set, I can go back in and now create a story. So our stories is the predictive model that you're building out. So I can actually create this from the data set that I just loaded, and it'll give me some options. So I want to maximize, for example, distance class, annual contract quantity, customs, delivered on time, delivered late, So this is where I define what field that I want to start making predictions on. So if I want to maximize on time, basically I want to be able to see if something is going to be on time or not. So this is how I'm defining what I want my insights to be about. So I can do insights and prediction or only insights. So I'm going to use insights and predictions, which could take a little bit longer, but it'll give me the predictions that I need for Einstein discovery. I can do an automated setup, or I can manually set this up to choose specific fields in that data set that I'm uploading to include in my story or not. So if I just go the automated route, it's going to apply like the normal predictions to the entire data set that I uploaded. So I'm going to be honest, I did have an issue today with bringing in information to, it's called cores. I learned about it today. Sorry, I'm having to log into my Tableau instance through, so you'll see it. You'll see why I just had to do that. So my Einstein object is loading here, and you're seeing that error. So my cross-origin resource sharing is not enabled in my my Einstein, or excuse me, my CRM instance. I did everything I could to enable it. This might be something on my network at this point, or in Chrome or my browser, but it's not Salesforce. So I apologize that the predictions are not populating here, but we saw them in action on our loan predictions. I just wanted to show you that the process of how to build this out. So once I have that model loaded and my story created, I can open up Tableau Desktop and start leveraging that. So I'm going to show you, first of all, and this is one of our new features. Part of what I'm going to go through today is new features, is the ability to create table calcs utilizing Einstein or Tableau CRM and Einstein discoveries to create that table calculation. So you can see my model just finished running. It's giving me some insights. So here are some cases where delivered on time was better than average. When the transporter was unique logistic, transport supplier pack and ship is 17.9%, across Europe, right? And customs is false when the weather is sunny, delivery point is a city center. So I can already start seeing what my best suppliers are, the best weather, and if they don't have to go to customs. And I can also see line 1 delivery is pretty below average, especially when customs is involved, and end motion transporter as well, right? But this isn't dynamic. I'm not able to select like I am here, right? Select bars if I had that functionality built in, or adjust a filter to see these predictions change. So what I'm actually doing is going to leverage these results in a way that is dynamic within my dashboard. So the first thing I need to do is create my table calculation. I already have it, created here. It's on-time delivery prediction. And this part is really important. You need to utilize this script right here, which can be generated by Salesforce, right? To essentially say that I want to bring in my model of prediction, which is this series of numbers. And you'll notice that in my Salesforce URL, this is the prediction. Pardon me. I can actually grab my prediction from my model manager. And if I click on my delivered on time, it's this last little bit right here. And I'll insert this into my table calculation along with the columns that I'm going to be utilizing to create predictions. So it's essentially from Tableau getting all this information, sending it to the model at this URL, and then bringing the results back to Tableau. So that's why I'm having that cross-domain issue, because I'm having to have an external connection and then a connection back into my system to see this information. Something that should be really easy to set up. That's why I'm thinking it's more of a browser issue for me. So once you have your table calculation set up, You also need to ensure that you are connected to your Einstein analytics. So if I go to help, settings and performance, and manage analytics extension connection, this is where I can connect to different analytical tools. So for the gentleman who had asked about how to connect with R and Python, it's going to be here. So if I disable my Einstein discovery, you'll see that I can enable, I'm going to go back here, disable.
Know if there are certain requirements license-wise to get Einstein analytics available in Tableau?
Yeah, you have to have the level of licensing that allows you for Einstein discovery in Tableau, in the Salesforce core platform. So the licensing, which is something I'm not an expert on, I'm more of an expert around the technology because I'm not in sales in that capacity, at least. It does escape me the exact name of that licensing, but it's the, I believe it's like the Plus, Einstein Discovery Plus, but you only need one license. So you only need the person that is going to train that model, or like as you saw me loading in that CSV, that is the only license that you need, because that is essentially the only thing you're going to be utilizing is the ability to create that model and then bring it into Tableau. Does that make sense? And I can get that for y'all and send it in a follow-up. But real quick, if I go to my Manage Analytics extensions, right, this is where I can connect to TabPy, RServe, or Einstein Discovery, which is absolutely new, which we're seeing here today. So if you are looking to connect to R or looking to connect to TabPy, or excuse me, Python or Einstein Discovery, it's really easy to do so. Once I connect, I just enable, and it's going to single sign on me, SSO me in through OAuth, just through Salesforce credentials. And then I should be able to leverage the power of Einstein. But like I said, I have this cross-org resource sharing issue currently. But like I said, I was able to do this earlier with another workbook and publish it to Tableau Online. And I was actually able to come in and set up my credentials for Salesforce. If I go to my account settings, you can see where I have credentials for Salesforce to be able to log into the instance that is hosting the Einstein Discovery, right? And then my end users can now use this. So I can have like 50, 60, 70, unlimited number of people using this dashboard, and it's still going to be powered by that one license that is bringing in the predictions from Einstein Discovery. So, you can see how you can really start using the tool to drill down to a specific loan purpose. So like here, I'm looking for an employer payroll loan, adjust my filters, and then see that prediction as well. So really imagine all the different things that you can start doing with Einstein Discovery and Tableau and your data to really offer that ability to have some of that advanced analytics and predictions within Tableau. But as y'all know, as Tableau users, there are a ton of different ways that you can create different advanced analytics within Tableau. So let's go ahead and just start with the analytics pane, and I'll kind of work my way back. So we all know the analytics pane. I'm just going to start off just by grabbing profit, sales, and all of my different customers. And I like using show me to create that scatter plot. So based on what visualizations that I have on my screen, should change to let me know what I can or cannot be using. So if I just want to add a constant line, I can, which is something, added 2 accidentally, which is something that I like to utilize if I'm pairing with some sort of KPI. So if I want to say that if sales is over 4,000 and have a parameter per se that measures if something's over 4,000 or not, I can sync that parameter with my constant line. So I'll have a line on my visualization that shows me exactly where we have values over 4,000 or not. So I really like using these constant lines with a calculation. And just to create one real quick, what I'll do is first just create a parameter. This parameter is just going to be an integer, current value, all values. That's perfect. And it's just going to be called parameter 4. So I'm going to create a calculated field now, and I'll say if this, oh, there it goes. If the sum of sales is over my parameter. Okay. So I can put this on color. And now show my parameter. And here I can just start typing in values, like if it's over 4,000 or not, right? And now to pair it with my content, let's go drag and drop this one out. I can go to my analytics pane, constant line on sales. And now I can edit it and say that I want this to be automatic line and then I'm just going to choose it to sum and then parameter 4. So I just chose sum because I'm just going to do the sum of 4,000. It could be the average, max, min. It's just one number. So it's just going to manifest as 4,000 in my visualization. So that constant line should now give me and the end user that ability to see what is over 20,000, right? Which is only one of our customers who has sales over 20,000. We also have things like the average line, and I'm sure we have all used the average line before, but perhaps not in this way. I like doing the average line a lot of times, almost like creating different quadrants in my dashboard. And this is also something that is dynamic. So whatever I'm choosing, I can see what my average sales are and my average profitability across this scatter plot. These average lines can also be edited to have a fill. So I can fill above, right, for one. The other I can fill above as well, right? And have another way of just looking at my data, right? I can use different colors as well to kind of create some of those quadrants. So average lines are something that are extremely useful, especially when you're looking to create something more dynamic. Also, average lines are useful when you're trying to answer some of these questions. Like, I want to know what the average sales are for all of my customers. So if I go and grab all of my customers, grab all of my sales for all of my customers, I can now quickly go in and put an average line. Because getting this answer right here of 2,897 typically isn't that easy, because you need to write a level of detail calculation saying that you want to see the average, sale per customer, and then compute that. So if I were just to go sum of sales and then say I want to now change this to average, it's giving me a value of 229. The average line, especially if this view is not going to be very dynamic, where I'm trying to filter out values, etc., would be a really good way of kind of avoiding having to write that level of detail calculation. But kind of getting into some new features here, we now have the ability to do quick level of detail calculations. So that average line may or may not be necessary if you just want to show that one bar. Because like I said, it could be challenging to write that level of detail calculation, just have one bar or one number showing me that average sales. So the way this is going to work, and this is a new feature of 2020.1, and I'm including this as sort of advanced, is a level of detail calculation. I'm essentially going to grab sales and I'm going to hold down control, or excuse me, alt, Actually, I'm on a Mac and I'm using a PC keyboard. So I think it might be the Mac button. So I'm holding that down, and dragging this on top of cut. I have a new field, which is an LOD. Dragging and dropping, I'm now able to see my customer name and all of the sum of sales per customer, which is going to give me the exact result. But if I now go to average, and remove customer name, we should see that I'm getting completely different values here. Because one is that level of detail calculation showing me what the average sale per customer actually is, where the other one is just at the row level showing me what my average sales are. So again, I have another example here. So if I'm trying to look at my average sales per segment per customer, I can't do that. But now if I use my average sales per customer LOD and change this now back to that average, I should be able to get those correct values, right? And if I add all our customer names to our segments and that average line, we should actually see very like the same values essentially. Yeah, 228. Gotta bring back the sum. Yeah, 2,897 for our consumer segment, right? And let's check our math. 2,839.6. So yeah, for that consumer segment. So you can see how I'm getting the correct answer of that quick LOD and the wrong answer with just averaging my sales per segment. So instead of having to go through and write a complex calculation in LOD, you can easily just drag and drop that one field over your dimension. So I can select any dimensions. I can go quantity to segment, create that LOD. I can edit this. I can make this include if I need to, but it just really makes it a lot easier for me to get the answer I'm looking for. And a good way to frame this is for each of my sales, all right, for each one of my ship modes, I want to see what my sales are. And then that's when I would just drag, drop, got that quick LOD. So that is one of our newer features, new features for the 2021 release. So kind of going back to advanced analytics, we also, of course, have our forecast line. And the way our forecast line is going to work, you need information around a numerical value, and of course, something like a date or something with cardinality of some sort. So if I bring my order date changes to month, I can now use that drag and drop forecast. But how many times have we run into this where you end up having something where you're missing values, right? Or you're not getting the forecast you want because you're missing a few months. So part of our newer releases, it's not our newest release, is some of the having the functionality in our calculated fields of doing different predictive modeling. So if I go to model percentile and model quantile, you can see it's going to return the probability of expected value being less than or equal to observed mark, right? I can pair this with a new feature of Tableau, which allows me, if I go to analysis, to infer properties from missing values. I actually have a working example of this that is actually on Tableau Public. So what I'm going to do is just share this URL right now in our chat. There we go. So y'all can follow along here too. So this does work if I'm showing missing values. And the easiest way to make sure that you're showing missing values, I'm going to turn this into a discrete value, just by coming here and just checking this box that you want to see missing values. And you'll see what's going on here. So I'm using the model quantile prediction And I am predicting using order date, running sum, and some of my profitability. And you can see on my dates, I am missing, looks like January 8th, 12th, 18th. So we can think of that as Sundays. So you can see what my prediction looks like. Not the smoothest, not the best. So next slide, or next visualization here, showing missing values on, but then still inferring properties from missing values off. So it's showing those missing values, but it's still not inferring the information. So I just have those blanks, those null values. But if I turn both of them, if I turn missing labels on and infer properties from missing values on, you'll see that I'm still not getting that suave curve. But once, make sure I got my order here correct. On, yep. So here we get something that is a better prediction, since it is now trying to use missing values in inferring those values that are missing into the prediction to give you a better prediction that is actually computing those values for those fields that would be missing. So you can see it's missing throughout my profitability, running sum, etc. But once you turn that on, it is just using those values. And I'm not sure exactly how it is computing and inferring those values. It's something that's way above my pay grade. And giving you that better prediction. So just another way that you can start using forecasting in Tableau, and also doing some of that predictive modeling. I've not seen too many use cases with folks using that modeling. A lot of folks that I have been interacting with lately are utilizing, going and connecting to R or Python through their analytics extension, and then leveraging R and Python directly in Tableau. The way that's going to work is much like that Einstein table calculation that you saw, where it said script real or script string. So right here, you can see I've got script boolean, integer, real, or string. This is where I'm literally going to write a script into Tableau. So if I want my script to return a value as a string, that's when I would use script string. And you can see I'm just using R or Python directly in Tableau to leverage Tableau's the data and the way I'm slicing and dicing and aggregating, sending those results to R and Python, and then back over to Tableau. I want to talk a little bit about correlation. It's also something that used to be much more challenging in Tableau before we released our correlation calculations. So you can see we're doing, it's just a window calculation. So it's a window correlation. And I'm using expression 1, expression 2, and then a start and an end date, right? Or start value and end value. So you can see an example here of it in action. So in this case, creating a scatter plot around the correlation between a couple of different crime categories in Seattle across 4 years. And I'm saying I want to see the average assaults and the average robberies per capita. And with that, I'm able now to create that window correlation table calculation, which can be utilized just like any other table calculation in Tableau, where you can compute using, edit the, and really be able to now leverage the intuitive power of Tableau to get that exact result you want. And what we're doing is looking at the correlation. You can see it also computing on our tooltip there. 5, 9, 0.68, and 0.60. The way that this could work everything together is being able to start identifying, for example, number of correlated states in, again, kind of using that crime theme, patterns in crime. So I can select a state like Montana. I can select a crime type like murder. And then I can say, I want to see, 4 similar states to Montana. And once I, use my filters, my parameter over here, I can now see those states that have a similar correlation to, the different crime types that I am selecting here. And you can see all those state changes, all those states change as I go and filter through this. So it's a great way to start making comparisons, really digging deep in your data and kind of figuring out those unknown unknowns. Like I never knew, for example, that Montana and West Virginia had very similar correlations for assault crimes across this data set. I want to make sure that there aren't any questions that are coming up. Just a few here in the Q&A. Yeah, we got some Einstein discovery in there. Okay, I want to answer this question about how Einstein and Tableau works. A bit redundant. A use case where Einstein would be more helpful than Tableau alone. So here's a couple of use cases, a couple of examples that I have run into already. So let's think, first of all, of leveraging R and Python in Tableau. You can leverage any of the libraries that you have, any of the code that you have, and you can create very custom tailored analysis using that code within Tableau. But does that data scientist or that person who is using R and Python within Tableau, do they need to be doing the same types of analysis? Do they need to be doing the types of things that perhaps Einstein discovery could do? They could focus their time elsewhere on creating new models, training the model, and doing more discovery and insight into the data, rather than grinding their gears, doing some of those things that are more that you can automate, or that you could, I like to call like almost like low-hanging fruit, which you could start looking and slicing and dicing through Einstein discovery. On the topic of data scientists, right? I'm going to go to a demo site that I have here, where I have a few different visualizations. I want to talk a little bit about using the parameters, and I'm looking for my financial services site because there's a great example that I want to show you all of this in action. So if I can use this fraud analysis. So if we think about leveraging R and Python within Tableau, this is not going to be the best one. I'm just going to use an example. These filters, these parameters, I can pass all these values over to R and Python, but somebody still needs to sit there and write the script. So if I now want to, look at a different zip code, change the, the risk factor to a factor of 6, I can adjust these parameters. But if somebody didn't actually go in and set up the code first, insert all the parameters in there, I wouldn't have the ability to leverage R and Python on Tableau Server and have my end users interact with their data, leveraging my data science capabilities. So even if I don't have anyone on staff like that, I can always use Einstein Discovery to give me some of that already until I develop, a better strategy around data science, or use them in tandem, again, like with the low-hanging fruit versus actually doing data science and doing some more discovery. Kind of back to advanced analytics though. We can talk about clustering, et cetera, but, and box plots, but I did come prepared with a few different analysis that I've seen folks ask about, that there are some solutions to. So first of all, what if analysis? So here I've got a simple analysis where I have my current sales, and then what if my sales increased by 10%, 20%, 30%, right? So this gives that end user the ability to essentially adjust this parameter to now see what the expected sales would be if their sales increased by 20%. And I'm just using a parameter, which we saw how I created a parameter earlier, right? This parameter would be increase sales by. Just want to make sure I got this parameter in here. Oh, here it is. So it's just a float, 0.2, and I'm just doing values between 0 and 1 to get those percentages with my step size at 10%. Then I build a calculation. That's that what if calculation, where I'm just adding that parameter into my data. So it's the sum of sales plus sum of sales times 0.2, which would give me that increase of 20%. Right? So you can think of a bunch of different use cases of how you could end up giving your end user, the ability to change values on a parameter in order to predict certain values, or just answer that question of what if. Now, one that is less complex, I'm going to end one on a pretty complex one. One that I get a lot from folks is, how do I create year-over-year views, but I want that year-over-year view to be a bar and a line chart, kind of like you're seeing on my screen right now. We all know in Tableau that I can grab my order date or whatever date field that I want to use. I'll just use ship date here. I can then, bring in a value that I want to be looking at, like my sum of sales. And if I now want to look at this by year, right, I can make this discrete again. I can do so. But as you can see, it's not a dual axis visualization. To dual axis it, or to have a bar on top of a line, I need to dual axis. So I'd have to have one visualization as a bar, the other one as a line, dual axis. And now I have redundant information. It's a little hard to understand, and it really doesn't make much sense. So a solution to this, and what I did too, is add a parameter so I can compare 2014 or 2015 to 2014, 2014 to 2013, etc. So it's basically gives me the option to choose whatever year I want to see and see what that year-over-year growth looks like. It is dual axis, but what I did is two calculations, and these are level of detail calculations. So what I'm doing here, I'm saying for each year and each month, give me the sum of sales if the order date is equal to the year I'm choosing my parameter minus 1. So basically, if I choose 2014, it's 13, and it's going to give me the sum of sales for each month for the year that I chose, or excuse me, 1 minus the year I chose, 2013. So this is how I'm getting that previous year values. I'm just going to undual axis this so we can see what each of these are doing, right? So that is my previous year calculation, the one on top, right? This is me looking at that previous year, just minus 1. Can anyone guess how I'm getting the current year's value? If somebody said not put the minus 1 in their head, it would be not putting that minus 1, right? So it's just giving me the sum of sales for each month out of each year that equals the choice in my parameter. And then all I have to do then is dual axis it to now have that visualization like my CEO asked for. They wanted bars on lines showing that year-over-year growth with the ability to do some comparisons. Now, here's the one that I wanted to share with y'all that is, in my opinion, something that should be easier than it is. And it might be something that y'all have faced or encountered in your day-to-day. So the question that this is answering is, I want to see quarter over quarter the running sum across each day of the quarter. So that means I need to do a count of days. So I need, values between 90 and 92. And then I need to be able to do that running sum. Running sum, easy. That's just that table calculation. But what happens if we try to do count of day per quarter? So using Tableau, I'm going to grab my order date, going to drill down to quarter, and then day. So I now have Q1, Q2, and Q3 and values between 0 and 31. But I'm not able to get remove quarter and now see 90 days. Now it's just giving me that category, that bucket of values between 1 and 31, not what I'm looking to achieve. I need this to be between 1 and 90, or I believe 92, which is the longest a quarter could be. Has anyone run into this question before? So what I did, and this is something that, yeah, a few people have, and if you haven't, maybe you can impress your boss by answering this question. What I ended up having to do is using the modulus function, which is highlighted right here. Does anyone know what the modulus function is? Maybe a thumbs up. That's what that's the modulus function looks like in Tableau. Got a few. Perfect. So maybe a few folks can already kind of guess what I'm doing here. So what modulus does, it's going to find the remainder. So it's going to do, for example, in this case, it's going to find the month of the order date. So let's say that it is a value of 11 plus 1, to be 12, modulus 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 0. Perfect. So it's saying if there's no remainder, essentially, then it goes on. But if I have the remainder of 1, then it's going to essentially do a date diff to give me a date add and then a date diff to essentially give me values between 1 and 90 or 92. Because remember, months can be, there's what, February with 27 days, you can have months with 30 days or 31 days. So that's why you have to have this type of logic of figuring out, does a month have 30 days? So is it divisible by 3 and the remainder 0? Or is that value divisible by 3 and there's a remainder of 1? And then creating the date diff to then have values and adding all those values. So you can see I'm summing all of that up at the end to have all of my quarterly information. The best part about this is, let's say that I'm on day 80. This line would stop at day 80. This line would go all the way to day 90, and I could then compare values between day 80 of Q3 and day 80 of Q4. I've actually, in a real life version of this, even have a parameter that is telling Tableau to always load the workbook on the latest day. So it'll actually, when somebody refreshes the page that's loaded, when I publish this on Tableau server, it'll actually refresh and show day 83. And my title will say, today's day 83 of the quarter, here's the value, compared to day 83 of the quarter on the previous month, or the previous quarter. I can't show you any of the real life versions I've made of this, but this is actually a question that my boss asked me, and that I used the data that we have here at Tableau of our actual sales data to figure out. And I've now leveraged this across with a ton of different customers. And again, the way that calculation looks, I'm just getting my order dates and just using modulus 3 equals 0 or modulus 3 equals 1 to compute those values between 0 and 90 something. So 92 days, 90 days. Yeah, it's between 90 and 92 days. I know, so I showed up today with a lot of content. I get excited about being in the product. So I told the folks that I wanted to be in the product as much as possible, showing off some of those new features like quick LODs, or predictive modeling, some of the advanced analytics, talk about R, Python, Einstein integration with Tableau, as well as bringing in like what if, dual access, that's sometimes hard to do, and then lining up your days. Yeah, somebody asked for that quick LOD one more time. So again, just a quick example here. If I'm trying to see per segment, average sales per customer, if I come here and do average, it's the wrong number. Give me values of 223, 233, and 240. Again, I know this because if I change this back to sum and then bring out my customer names and then bring out my segments and use that nifty average line that I told you all about, it's giving me the true values of 2,840, 2.9K, and again, 2.9K, right? So I'm trying to create 3 bars, just average sale per customer. So the quick LOD method would be to grab sales, hold down control, and then bring it on top of the level of detail that you want, the sum of sales per customer. And then I can now drag this LOD out. It came in as a sum. I just need to change this over to an average. And now I get those values that I was looking for, 2.9K, 2.9K, and 2.4K, or excuse me, 2.84K, right? So it's much easier than coming here, going, doing, and having to have the understanding that this would be fixed customer name, then sum of sales, putting this all in average to get the same result, right? But I would have to understand what a level of detail calculation even was before I would be able to go ahead and answer that question of average sales per customer per segment, right? So it's giving me the same result, but that quick LOD, loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I know we're right at the hour, and I want to make sure that we have enough time for networking and all of that. Are there any last minute questions? Anything else folks are looking to see when it comes to advanced analytics? All right, well, hopefully everyone learned something new today about Tableau and some of our new features that have more to do with advanced. Hopefully y'all can take back some use cases, take back some things that you learned here today, and perform some analysis that you weren't able to previously with some of these new features and with our Einstein discovery. So I really appreciate everyone's time today. I want to pass it back over to you, Jackie.
Thanks so much, Richard. That was great. And so everybody, I'm going to turn off the presentation, but feel free to stick around and do some networking, hop around the tables, and hope to catch up with you. Thanks.